Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right, so today we're going to be looking at how what you eat can actually impact your mental health.
Yeah, it's a pretty fascinating connection.
It is, it is. We've got a couple of really interesting sources to help us unpack this whole thing.
Okay.
We've got a scientific review article titled Influence of Nutrition on Mental Health, Scoping Review.
Nice. Sounds thorough.
It is. And a piece from Best Health Style called Nourishing Minds, How Nutrition Influences Mental Health.
Great. I'm familiar with that one. It's a good one.
Yeah. So basically, we're on a mission to figure out how our food choices can affect our moods, our focus, just our overall mental state.
Right.
Pretty cool stuff, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Like, we're just starting to scratch the surface of how powerful this connection really is.
Oh, for sure. We all know eating healthy makes us feel better physically.
Right.
But when you think about it, the idea that our food choices can actually change our brain chemistry, that's kind of mind-blowing.
Totally. It's like there's this whole hidden world inside of us,
Yeah.
And it really has so much power over how we feel. Like, one of the most fascinating discoveries in this field is the concept of the gut-brain axis.
Gut-brain axis, huh?
Yeah. Like, imagine your gut as this, bustling city with trillions of these tiny little citizens, the bacteria,
Okay.
all working together
Mm-hmm.
to keep things running smoothly.
So you're telling me, my gut is basically like a second brain?
Pretty much. Yeah, your gut and brain are constantly talking back and forth,
Wow.
sending signals to each other.
Yeah.
And what you eat is like deciding which citizens in that city get to thrive.
Okay.
And you know how well they communicate with your brain.
Gotcha.
It's pretty amazing. It influences everything, like your mood, your ability to focus, even sleep.
That is pretty amazing. So let's talk about what we're feeding these citizens,
Right.
Best Health Style has this table breaking down the macronutrients. So like proteins, carbs, and fats.
Yeah, the building blocks of our diets, right?
Exactly.
So proteins, they're like the VIPs. They provide the amino acids that are needed to create those essential chemical messengers in our brains.
Okay.
The neurotransmitters.
Right.
They're like these tiny couriers delivering messages that affect our mood, our sleep, even our learning ability.
And carbs, those are energy sources,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. But, there's a bit of a catch with those. So in the short term, carbs give you this quick energy boost.
Okay.
And they can even bump up your serotonin, which is, the feel-good neurotransmitter.
Uh-huh.
But if you're on a low-carb diet for a long time, it could actually lower your serotonin levels over time.
Oh, okay.
And that could potentially, lead to mood swings or even depression down the line. The PMC article actually highlights a study from the Journal of Psychopharmacology where they found
So it's all about balance then?
pretty much.
Not too many carbs, not too few.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, fats, they're essential for brain cell structure and function, right?
Right. Yeah, they're like the architects of our brain.
Yeah.
Making sure everything's built and maintained properly. And the superstars of the fat world, the omega-3 fatty acids.
I've always heard those are really great for your brain.
They are. Not only are they essential for brain cell structure,
Okay.
but they also combat inflammation. And they've actually been linked to reducing those pesky symptoms of anxiety and depression.
So are we talking about fish oil supplements here, or are there certain foods that are naturally high in omega-3s?
Well, both, actually. Fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, they're packed with omega-3s.
Right.
But you can also find them in plant-based foods as well.
Yeah.
So like flax seeds, chia seeds, even walnuts.
Okay.
And yeah, fish oil supplements could be a good way to up your intake
Uh-huh.
if you think you're not getting enough through your diet.
Gotcha. So it really seems like it's all about giving our brain the nutrients it needs to function at its best.
Exactly. It's like feeding your brain the right fuel to run smoothly. But it goes beyond just those big players, the proteins, fats. The PMC article actually goes into detail about the importance of micronutrients,
Okay.
which are vitamins and minerals.
Right. The tiny but mighty stuff.
Absolutely. And, deficiencies in certain vitamins like vitamin D or the B vitamins or minerals like magnesium and zinc,
Uh-huh.
they can really increase your risk of developing mental health conditions, like depression and anxiety.
So if I'm not getting enough of these, it could actually affect my mood.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's right. It's like, think of it like trying to run a car without enough oil. Eventually, things start to break down.
That's a great analogy. I like that. So we've talked about the good stuff, but the Best Health Style article also mentions some bad foods when it comes to mental health.
Right.
What are those?
It's not really about good versus bad, but more about the impact that these foods have on inflammation.
Okay.
And those bad foods, like processed meats, refined sugars, and those trans fats, they're like arsonists in the body. They start these little fires everywhere,
Wow.
including your brain.
And that chronic inflammation can lead to...
A whole host of problems, especially depression.
Right.
In fact, the PMC article points out that a Western diet, which is high in those inflammatory foods,
Right.
is strongly linked to a higher risk of depression.
Okay.
So, it's really something to be mindful of.
Yeah. And I'm guessing the opposite is true for those diets that are rich in those anti-inflammatory good foods.
Absolutely. Yeah, like a Mediterranean diet, for example,
Clear.
is associated with a lower risk of depression. So there's some pretty compelling evidence there.
That makes perfect sense. Speaking of good foods, the Best Health Style article actually highlights specific foods that can boost your mood.
Right.
They even call them mood-boosting foods.
Yeah. It's a catchy term. And, there's actually some exciting research coming out about how certain foods and supplements can, almost act like medicine for our minds.
Wow.
The PMC article actually dives into a few of these studies. Okay, this is where it gets really exciting.
Right.
Best Health Style mentions probiotics, which we know are good for gut health.
Uh-huh.
But do they actually help with depression?
Well, that's where the research gets a little murky. Some studies do show promise for probiotics when it comes to reducing depressive symptoms.
Okay.
But the results are mixed. We need more research to draw, definitive conclusions.
Okay, so it's kind of a question mark still.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. What about prebiotics? Those are the ones that feed the good bacteria in our gut, right?
Right, exactly. They're like fertilizer for your good gut bacteria. But the research on prebiotics and depression is still pretty early.
Right.
We don't have enough, conclusive human studies to really determine how effective they are.
So both probiotics and prebiotics are still a bit of a mystery.
I'd say so, yeah.
All right. But what about specific nutrients?
Okay.
Are there any that are actually proven to boost mood?
Yeah, actually, there are a few that really stand out. Vitamin D, for example.
Okay. Has consistently shown positive results when it comes to improving mental health.
Wow.
Some studies even suggest that vitamin D supplementation could be especially helpful for kids with ADHD.
That's incredible. Any others?
Well, magnesium supplementation has also been shown to help manage stress, especially when taken with vitamin B6.
Interesting.
So that's a good combo to look into.
Very cool. Now, what about that herb mentioned in the Best Health Style article? It's called Melissa officinalis.
Yeah, lemon balm.
Okay, lemon balm. What is that? And does it actually work?
So lemon balm has this long history of being used for its calming effects. And research actually suggests that it might be effective in improving anxiety, depression, stress, and even sleep disorders.
Wow. That's quite a resume for one little herb.
It is.
Okay, so it seems like there's actually science backing up some of these mood-boosting claims.
Right.
But let's say I want to try this at home.
Okay.
Where would I even begin?
That's a great question. Luckily, the Best Health Style article offers some really practical tips. The key is to focus on small, sustainable changes.
No.
You don't have to completely overhaul your whole diet overnight.
Small steps.
Exactly.
Gotcha. What are a couple of small steps people can take?
Well, start by incorporating more of those mood-boosting foods we've been talking about. Fruits, veggies, lean proteins, whole grains, and healthy fats.
Okay.
And then try to just be more mindful of your eating habits. Don't just scarf down your food. Really sit down, put your phone away, and just savor each bite.
It's almost like a meditation with your meal.
Exactly.
I like that.
By being more present during mealtime, you become more in tune with your body and what it needs.
Okay.
And don't forget about staying hydrated.
Right.
Dehydration can lead to all sorts of problems, including, cognitive decline and even mood swings.
Right. I've definitely noticed when I'm dehydrated, I get really irritable. It's like my brain just can't function properly.
Absolutely. It really affects us.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much our mood is tied to something as simple as hydration. But there's one more piece to this puzzle that we haven't really discussed yet. And that's understanding your individual needs and barriers.
Okay, so you're saying what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. And the Best Health Style article really drives this point home.
Okay.
We're all different, and we need to take an honest look at our own lifestyles and habits to figure out what might be holding us back from making those healthier choices.
Like, what kind of barriers are we talking about?
Well, access to healthy food is a big one.
Uh-huh.
If you live in a food desert or you have limited financial resources,
Yeah.
it can be a real struggle to get fresh produce and other, nutritious foods.
That's a really good point. Healthy food shouldn't be a luxury.
You're absolutely right.
It should be accessible to everyone.
Exactly. And luckily, there are resources out there to help. The article mentions, farmers markets, community gardens, and even some budget-friendly grocery stores that prioritize, fresh produce.
That's awesome.
Definitely worth checking out.
What about time constraints? I know for me that's always a barrier.
Oh, for sure. That's a common barrier for so many people.
Yeah.
But remember, we talked about some time-saving strategies like batch cooking,
Right.
having some quick recipes on hand.
Mm-hmm.
You can also incorporate more convenience items that are still healthy,
Right.
like pre-cut veggies or even frozen fruits.
Oh, I never thought about using frozen fruit for smoothies or snacks.
Yeah, it's a game changer. And then, of course, there are personal preferences. Some people just don't enjoy certain healthy foods.
I'm definitely guilty of that. I mean, there are some vegetables I just can't seem to get on board with.
Yeah, I get it. And that's totally okay. You don't have to force yourself to eat things that you hate. The articles suggest, gradually experimenting with new foods and flavors.
Okay.
You might be surprised by how your tastes change over time.
Yeah. Like expanding your culinary horizons.
Exactly. It's about making healthy eating sustainable and enjoyable for you.
I love that. This is all so incredibly helpful. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on how to use food to, support my mental well-being. It's not just about the nutrients themselves. It's about the whole experience of eating and making choices that nourish both my mind and body.
Yeah, it's a holistic approach.
Exactly.
It's about building this positive relationship with food that supports both your physical and your mental health.
Now, speaking of supporting both our physical and mental health, we haven't talked much about exercise.
Yeah, it's an important piece of the puzzle.
Oh no, when I work out, my mood definitely gets a boost.
For sure.
But how does that tie into everything we've been discussing about nutrition?
That's a fantastic point, and it turns out that physical activity is another key player in that gut-brain communication.
Really? I never thought about exercise affecting my gut health.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Research is still ongoing, but it seems that physical activity can actually change the composition of our gut microbiota. All those trillions of bacteria we've been talking about.
Yeah, those little citizens. So it's not just about what we eat, but how we move our bodies too.
Exactly. Exercise is like a personal trainer for your gut.
Okay.
It helps create a healthier, more balanced environment for those good bacteria to thrive.
That is such a cool way to think about it. I'm already picturing my next workout as like a gut boosting session.
That's the spirit. And here's the amazing part. Exercise also seems to improve gut motility, which is basically how efficiently things are moving through your digestive system.
So it's like a traffic cop, keeping everything flowing smoothly.
You got it.
I like that.
And this can really help to prevent constipation and other digestive issues that can, negatively impact your mood and mental clarity.
So it's like exercise is doing double duty.
It is.
It's fighting inflammation
Yeah.
and optimizing digestion.
Exactly.
Win-win for the gut and the brain.
It really is. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Imagine this. You're feeding your gut those mood-boosting foods. All those colorful fruits and veggies, lean proteins, healthy fats.
Right.
You're being mindful of your portions. You're enjoying each bite.
Okay.
And on top of that, you're moving your body regularly.
Right.
It's like a triple whammy of goodness for your mental well-being.
It's like all these healthy habits are working together to create this symphony of well-being.
I like that. Exactly. And the beauty is that it's all interconnected.
Mhm.
They reinforce each other.
Yeah.
When you eat well, you have more energy to exercise.
Right.
When you exercise, you reduce stress, improve your mood, which in turn makes it easier to make those healthy choices when it comes to food.
Yeah.
It's this beautiful cycle of positive reinforcement.
Everything's working together to create a healthier, happier you.
Precisely. And that's the ultimate goal, to use these lifestyle choices to build a foundation for long-term mental well-being.
Absolutely. So we've covered so much ground today.
We have.
From the science behind the gut-brain axis to practical tips for incorporating these mood-boosting foods and exercise into our lives. But as we kind of wrap up this first part, what is the biggest takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the most important message is that we really do have more power over our mental health than we often realize.
Okay.
We can make choices every day that support our well-being, from what we eat to how we move our bodies.
So it's about taking control of our mental health one bite and one step at a time.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey, not a race.
Okay.
Start with small, sustainable changes.
Right.
Be kind to yourself
Yeah.
and celebrate every step you take towards, a healthier, happier you.
That's a great reminder. It's not about perfection. It's about progress.
Exactly.
And finding what works best for you.
Absolutely.
So we were just talking about all these amazing strategies for, using food to actually boost our mental health.
Right.
What else can we do?
Well, think of it like building a house. We've got the foundation with mindful eating and those mood-boosting foods.
Okay.
Now we need to frame it out with some practical planning.
So you mean like meal prepping? I gotta admit, I'm not the best at that.
I hear you.
Yeah.
But it really is a game changer. If you've got a fridge full of, healthy, delicious food ready to go,
Yeah.
you're way less likely to reach for that bag of chips when you're stressed and just don't have time to cook. It's like giving your future self a gift.
Okay, that makes sense. But what if I really just don't have the time for elaborate meal prep?
Well, even just like a simple grocery list that's focused on those mood-boosting foods
Okay.
can make a huge difference. So prioritize fruits, veggies, lean protein, whole grains, healthy fats. And don't be afraid to get creative in the kitchen. There are tons of quick and easy recipes out there
Right.
that make healthy eating fun.
So batch cooking on the weekends, having quick recipes, and always having those healthy go-to snacks ready to grab.
Exactly. And remember, hydration is key.
Yes.
Keep a water bottle with you all day long. Dehydration can really sneak up on you and really mess with your mood and focus.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely noticed that when I'm dehydrated, I get super irritable. It's like my brain just can't function.
Absolutely. It affects all of us.
Yeah.
But there's one more piece to this puzzle that we haven't talked about yet, and that's understanding your individual needs and barriers.
So what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. The Best Health Style article really emphasizes this point. We're all different,
Right.
and we need to really take an honest look at our own lifestyles and habits to figure out what might be holding us back from making those healthier choices.
Like what kind of barriers are we talking about here?
Well, access to healthy food is a big one. Like if you live in a food desert or you have limited financial resources, it can be really hard to get your hands on fresh produce and other nutritious ingredients.
That's such an important point. Healthy food shouldn't be a luxury.
I agree. It should be accessible to everyone.
100%.
And, luckily there are resources out there to help with this. The article mentions farmers markets, community gardens, and even some budget-friendly grocery stores that prioritize fresh produce.
Those are great options. What about time constraints, though? I know that's a big one for me.
Oh, for sure.
Mm.
That's a common one for so many people. But remember, we already talked about some time-saving strategies.
Right.
Like batch cooking and having quick recipes on hand. You can also incorporate more convenience items that are still healthy.
Okay.
Things like pre-cut veggies or frozen fruits.
Those are good hacks.
Right. And then, of course, there are personal preferences. If some people just don't enjoy certain healthy foods.
I'm definitely one of those people. There are certain vegetables that I just can't seem to get on board with.
Totally. And that's perfectly okay. You don't have to force yourself to eat things that you hate. The article suggests, gradually experimenting with new foods and flavors.
Okay.
You might be surprised by how your tastes change over time.
Yeah. Like expanding your culinary horizons.
Exactly. It's all about making healthy eating sustainable and enjoyable for you.
You mentioned earlier that physical activity can actually change, the makeup of our gut bacteria.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that actually works?
It's like exercise is kind of shaking things up in that bustling gut metropolis we were talking about earlier.
Uh-huh.
It's helping to create a more diverse and balanced population of bacteria.
Okay.
And, that diversity is key when it comes to gut health, which,
Yeah.
of course, is closely linked to our mental well-being.
So we're not just talking about six-pack abs here. Exercise is like a workout for our insides as well.
Exactly.
But how exactly does it, benefit our gut bacteria?
Well, for starters, physical activity helps to reduce inflammation
Okay.
throughout the whole body, including the gut. Remember how we talked about how chronic inflammation is kind of a major villain when it comes to mental health disorder?
Right, it's like that pesky villain we're always trying to fight off.
Exactly. So by reducing inflammation, exercise is creating a more hospitable environment
Okay.
for those beneficial bacteria to flourish. It's like, clearing out the weeds to make room for a thriving garden.
I like that analogy. It makes a lot of sense. It's like exercise is giving those good gut bacteria a fighting chance.
Exactly. And there's more. Physical activity also seems to improve gut motility. So basically, how efficiently things are moving through your digestive system.
Ah, so it's like getting the traffic flowing smoothly in that gut metropolis, right?
Exactly.
Love it.
And this improved flow can really help prevent constipation and other digestive issues that can, drag down your mood and make you feel foggy.
It sounds like exercise is doing double duty then.
Right.
Fighting inflammation, A&D optimizing digestion, win-win for the gut and the brain.
Absolutely, a total win-win. And, here's where it gets even more fascinating. Imagine this. You're feeding your gut those mood-boosting foods that we talked about. So all those colorful fruits and veggies, lean proteins, healthy fats. You're mindful of your portions. You're enjoying each bite. And on top of all of that, you're moving your body regularly.
Wow.
It's like this triple whammy of goodness
Mm-hmm.
for your mental well-being.
It's like, all of these healthy habits are kind of working together to create this, like, symphony of well-being.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh.
Exactly. And the beauty is that it's all interconnected. They reinforce each other.
Okay.
So when you eat well, you have more energy to exercise. When you exercise, you reduce stress, you improve your mood, which then makes it easier to make those healthy food choices.
Right.
It's this beautiful cycle of positive reinforcement.
It's like everything's working together to create a healthier, happier you.
Exactly. And that's, the ultimate goal, to use all these lifestyle choices to build a foundation for long-term mental well-being.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
It had
We've explored the connection between our gut and our brain, uncovered, the power of mood-boosting foods, and discovered how physical activity really plays a crucial role in this whole dance of well-being.
right.
So as we wrap up, what's the one message that you really want our listeners to take away from our conversation today?
I really hope that everyone listening walks away feeling empowered
Okay.
and inspired to take charge of their own mental health. Remember, it's not about finding this quick fix or a magic pill.
Right.
It's about making these gradual, sustainable changes to your lifestyle that support both your mind and body.
So it's all about those small, everyday choices that can add up over time.
Exactly. And being patient with yourself along the way and kind to yourself. There will be days when you slip up or you don't feel your best,
Yeah.
but that's okay. The important thing is to keep moving forward, one healthy choice at a time.
Thank you so much for sharing your incredible insights with us today. It has been such a pleasure diving deep into this topic with you.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our amazing listeners out there, thanks for joining us. We hope you feel inspired to nourish your mind and body and to keep exploring this incredible world of, health and well-being.
Yes, absolutely. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep taking care of those amazing minds of yours.
We'll see you on our next deep dive.